Hi, my name is Ashley and I'm a mom of 2 little girls. I have a 4-year-old named Kylie and I also have a 2-year-old named Mia. Now, when I am in conversation with other parents about Montessori and doing Montessori at home, I often find myself reiterating that it's not just about the stuff. Montessori is not about all of the activities and the play spaces. It is so much more than that. It really is a lifestyle and a way of being with your children. And once Montessori parents can look beyond the superficial aspect of what they often see online about Montessori, they start to dig a little deeper into the other ways that Montessori might change their lives as parents. And one of those aspects is celebrating birthdays. So from one busy parent to another, today I'm going to be sharing with you how you can incorporate the Montessori celebration of life into your child's birthday celebrations at home. Now, the Montessori celebration of life, also sometimes referred to as the sun celebration, is a little ceremony that Montessori teachers will incorporate into their classrooms to help celebrate their students' birthdays throughout the year. However, even Montessori parents, especially if you're a homeschooler or if your child doesn't attend a Montessori school, even you can incorporate the celebration of life into your child's birthday festivities at home if you want to. So let's talk a little bit about what a Montessori celebration of life actually looks like in practice. And there are a couple of materials that you're going to need up front in order to get things set up. The first of which is something to represent the sun. Now, oftentimes a candle is used to represent the sun because it gives off both light and heat, which is a very concrete way to represent the sun to very young children. It's something that they can really understand. But you don't have to use a candle if that is something that you're not comfortable with. You can also just create a little construction paper sun if you'd like, and that's a really great project that your child could potentially even help you out with. Or I have also seen many families who have actually made themselves, or they've purchased by someone who handmade a little mat that's got the sun sewn into the middle of it, and they're generally very beautiful. So that's something that you might consider investing in if you're very serious about doing these celebrations of life over the years. The next thing that you're going to need is something to represent the passing of a single year. And I have seen this done a couple of different ways. The most common is to represent that time passing with all of the months of the year. So you could easily just use little paper cutouts that you've created on your computer, or maybe you've actually hand drawn or hand painted. Or if you have a daily calendar that you already use with your child, then you could just borrow the little months that go up on the calendar and use those as part of your celebration. Another way that I have seen it done is to use the 4 seasons of the year instead, and just to have a little picture to represent summer and spring and fall and winter all around the sun to represent that 1 year of time passing. So that's something that you could explore, especially if your child is on the younger side and they don't quite understand the concept of the months of the year yet. And then the third way that I've seen is to actually just combine both of those so that you would have all 4 of the seasons as well as all of the months of the year. And what you're actually going to do with the months of the year or the seasons is to lay them out in a circle around the candle or whatever you're using to represent the sun, because your child is going to actually walk around the sun to the tune of a song, which we'll talk about in just a minute, but they're going to walk around the sun to represent that passing of time over the course of a single year. And while your child is walking around the sun, they should be holding something to represent the earth. And most of the time I have seen this with a small globe of some kind that the child can actually carry with them. Now, as your child is holding the globe and they're walking around the sun, you and whoever else is present for the celebration is singing a little song that goes to the tune of Farmer in the Dell most commonly, but I've also heard it sung to other tunes and other entirely made up tunes. It doesn't really matter, but the words to the song generally have a pretty common theme. And so I'm going to give you a couple of examples. The version that is sung to the tune of the Farmer in the Dell sounds a little something like this. The earth goes around the sun, the earth goes around the sun. It takes 1 year for the earth to go around the sun. And then there's a slightly different version sung to the same tune that goes, the earth goes around the sun, the earth goes around the sun. The earth goes around the sun, and now Kylie is 1, or you would say 2 or 3, up until however old they are turning. But again, you do not have to sing it to that tune specifically. That's just the one that is most commonly used. There are a bunch of other ones, and honestly, you could even make up your own if you wanted to. There's one that I found online that I really liked, and it's the one that we decided to use for our ceremony with our girls this past week. And it sounds a little something like this. The earth goes around the sun, the earth goes around the sun. The earth goes around the sun, and now Kylie is 1. So before any singing or walking even begins, you're going to invite your child to hold the globe and stand next to the month or the season of the year that they were born in. And you're going to start out by sharing a little story. And the story is going to relate your child's personal journey into the world, beginning in pregnancy up until the time that they were actually born. Because remember, at that time, they weren't any years old yet. So this is the very beginning of it all. And if you're doing the celebration of life ceremony with friends or siblings or other family members present, then it can be really fun to share some memories about what your child was like when they were a very tiny newborn baby. You can even ask very young children questions to help get them going, like, well, they were a very tiny baby, they couldn't walk or talk yet, so what could they do? And really get them thinking about what the things are that babies are capable of doing at that age. It can also be really nice to share a photo of your child when they were a newborn, just to reflect on that and to take a little trip down memory lane. So once you've spent a few minutes talking about this idea of what your child was like when they were a newborn, it is then time to begin that first round of the song and your child walking around the sun 1 time. And once you've done that, again, they stop at their birth month or season again. And then at that point, they are 1 year old. And so then you can share another photo of your child of what they looked like when they were 1 year old, and use that time to, again, reflect on what they were like back when they were 1 and share any special memories or anecdotal stories. Then it's time to repeat as your child walks around the sun 1 more time while you and everyone else sings the song. And then again, they stop and you pull out a photo of when they turned 2 years old, and again, spend a few more minutes reflecting, and so on, all the way up until your child is turning whatever age it is that they're turning on that day. So after that, you can invite your child to blow out the candle if you're using one to represent the sun. There are sometimes little songs that people will incorporate that are not the happy birthday song, but they're sung to the tune of the happy birthday song, and they do that right before the candle is blown out. So that is something that you could try if you wanted to. But otherwise, you can just keep things simple and just have your child blow out the candle. And that's really all there is to it. So it's a very simple ceremony, but children generally find great enjoyment out of listening to all of the little stories and seeing their own pictures and hearing their lives being celebrated among those who love them. And not only is it a great way to help your child truly feel appreciated and loved on a much deeper level, but it's also a really great way to help young children get a more concrete grasp on this very abstract concept of the passage of time, especially on such a great level. All right, so now that we've learned all about the celebration of life ceremony, I would like to show you what one actually looks like in practice in a home setting. So this past week, both of my daughters actually celebrated their birthdays. My older daughter turned 4 years old and my younger one turned 2 years old. And this is actually the first year in our home that we have done the celebration of life ceremony. Even though my older daughter is hopefully going to be attending a brick and mortar Montessori preschool in the fall where she will get to experience this in a classroom setting, right now she is being homeschooled, and so I didn't want her to miss out on the opportunity this year now that she is truly really old enough to appreciate it. And so we decided to do it here at home. And then of course we incorporated my 2-year-old as well, because everything that my older daughter does, typically my 2-year-old is also involved in anyway. So even though she was not 100% ready for it, she definitely wanted to try it and she wanted to be part of it. So we did a little mini celebration of life ceremony for her as well. The whole thing took roughly about 15 minutes from beginning to end. So it was actually quite brief, but I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys today just some of the really big highlights from that 15 minutes, just so that you could get an idea of what this might look like in practice. Okay. So you know how the sun is in the middle of our solar system?
Yes.
Okay, and then the earth, right, goes around the sun. So we're gonna use the candle to represent the light and the heat from the sun, okay? This is our sun. Do you know how long it takes for the Earth to get around the sun? To go all the way around?
No.
It takes 1 whole year. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the months of the year to represent the whole year all the way around the sun. Okay, so we've got January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. Do you know which month you and Sissy were born in?
No.
What month are we in right now? 'Cause today's your birthday. March, that's right. Okay, so this is where you're gonna start when we do this because you were born in March, right?
Hey, that looks like the sun.
It does look like the sun. All right, Kylie, so why don't you come stand right over here next to March. So 4 years ago, Mommy and Daddy decided that we wanted a special little baby, right? And it took 9 whole months for that baby to grow, and then she was born. And her name was Kylie. The earth goes around the sun, the earth goes around the sun. The earth goes around the sun, and then Kylie was 1. So this was Kylie on her first birthday. You were so tiny. Yeah? Mia, look, this was Kylie on her first birthday when she turned just 1 year old. She was so small. What could you do when you were 1 year old?
Oh, no.
Well, you could walk, right? What other things could you do?
I could talk.
You could talk. You were starting to say words,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Grab stuff.
You could grab things.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So that was your first birthday, but now a whole nother year had to pass, right? So the earth goes around the sun, the earth goes around the sun. The earth goes around the sun, stop. And then Kylie was 2. This was Kylie on her second birthday. You look so much older too. Let's compare.
Yeah, seriously.
Let's compare side by side. Look, so 1 year old and 2 year old Kylie. What could you do when you were 2?
I talked more.
You talked so
Told
much
jokes.
Yeah.
more. Yeah?
I had longer hair.
You had so much longer hair, I know it.
Bigger muscles.
Little muscles.
You helped Mommy with all kinds of stuff around the house, right? You were really good at helping me with things like laundry and dishes.
And cleaning the windows.
And cleaning the windows. You definitely liked doing that.
Yeah. With my little tiny splitter bottle.
You were 2 years old. But guess what? A whole nother year passed after that, right?
Yeah.
The earth goes around the sun, the earth goes around the sun. Stop. The earth goes around the sun, and now Kylie was 3. This was Kylie at 3 years old. All right, so we've got 1 year. Here, Daddy, can you hold this one?
Yep.
1 year. Look how big you got over the course of 3 years, Kylie. You went from tiny baby to a big girl.
And look how small hair. Look how long the hair I got then.
I know, it was so long.
Look how long the hair.
So what kinds of things could you do when you were 3?
I could talk more, tell jokes, yeah.
Yeah. Ride a
So-
balance bike.
Yeah, you could ride a balance bike.
Be a big sister.
Oh, we didn't talk about that. When you turned 2, you turned a big sister, didn't you? Yeah. The earth goes around the sun, the earth goes around the sun. The earth goes around the sun, and then Kylie was 4, or is 4, yes. You're 4 today. All right, so now Kylie's gonna go take a seat over by Daddy. And now Mia's gonna have a turn to do the sun celebration. So Mia, 2 years ago, you were in Mommy's belly, just a tiny, tiny little baby. And then you were born, right? Here, hold the globe. All right, can you walk in a circle like Sissy did? Ready? We're gonna sing for you. Come this way, ready? The earth goes around the sun, the earth goes around the sun. The earth goes around the sun, and then Mia was 1. Look, this is what you looked like on your birthday last year. You had no hair. You have so much hair now. You have pigtails. Look.
That's beautiful hair.
What could you do when you were 1? You weren't even walking yet. She was just learning how to walk. What other things could Mia do when she turned 1? What was she doing back then? Do we remember?
She could grab things like me.
Yeah.
She didn't talk by then.
Yeah?
She didn't want to talk by then.
No.
And now she talks a lot.
She's traveling around the sun by
She's
herself.
trying to be younger.
The earth goes around the sun, the earth goes around the sun.
The earth goes around the sun,
and now Mia is 2. You're 2 years old today. Well, in 2 days. Yay! Okay, blow it out.
He's heading away.
Yay! Happy birthday, girls.
Happy birthday, girls.
So that is everything that I have to share with you about the Montessori celebration of life. If you have any ideas or advice of your own, please be sure to share that with us in the comments down below. If you are interested in learning more about doing Montessori at home with your children or positive discipline parenting, I offer a couple of e-courses that walk you through it step by step. So I will be sure to leave links to that in the description box down below, just in case you are interested in learning more about it. And just in case you are new to my channel, I also wanted to let you know that this video is part of a much larger series on this YouTube channel called Montessori at Home, which is aimed at providing practical tips and advice for busy parents like you and I for implementing Montessori at home with our children. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in watching more of, then you might consider subscribing to my channel. This way you don't miss a new video, because I do upload a new one just like this one every single week. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.